Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first episode of Conversations.
Conversations.
You heard it correct. It sounds like conversations, but there's Asians involved. We are a trio. We are a trifecta of
Tripod.
Korean American men. We've been friends. Well, I've known Ryan for many, many years. Mark has entered my life within the recent years.
I've known Mark for like 10 years now.
Okay, then there we are. We have a lot of history here.
I snuck into Ben's outer circle at least.
Yeah,
Outer circle.
you're in it.
And at least there's a circle. To
He
the
remembers your name. So.
end. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of people's names. I'm working on that, guys. But so this is actually our 9th try.
We don't gotta tell them that.
No, I want to be honest.
Okay.
Here's why I want to be honest. Because a podcast, everybody has a podcast these days.
Everyone and their mama.
And it's great, like it's a good thing to have. But we wanted to make sure that we brought a unique approach or something that like only we could tap into in the way that we hear. The people in this room can tap into, whether it be topics, whether it be insight, guests, friends that we feel like we want to bring on and bring on their experiences. But at the end of the day, why did we freaking do 9 tries at this thing?
For you guys.
What did we originally call it? We called it the
Third wheel. Third wheel.
And we thought that was interesting because we're like, oh, we know what it feels like to be a third wheel. I know what it's like to be a third wheel. I've been a third wheel like most of my life. I have been a third wheel. We talk about that, but I've been a third wheel to you, Ryan and Vero. Yeah. Shout out Vero.
Hey, there was a part in our friendship when we were younger that I was a third wheel for you too.
When? I don't remember that.
I hung out with you a couple times, like you know what I mean.
Okay.
You can bleep these names out.
Yeah.
We're
gonna have to bleep these names out because
Yeah.
you're dropping some real life names, man. I don't know if I want that in here.
We got it.
That's Mark's job.
Got Mark's job.
Mark's the editor. So we got
Yeah.
Mark Beyond in the house.
Mark Beyond.
Mark, you have been unlocked, and you have a microphone in front of you, and so we don't bring you in as just like the producer guy. You have a voice. You have an experience. We want to hear your voice. Like sing a little something. Drop a bar.
No, I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna sound terrible.
That sounded great, actually. That sounded freaking fantastic right now. That
sounded like a Ford F-150 commercial.
That sounded great.
But yeah, hi, I'm Mark.
Bum,
You
bum,
guys,
bum.
you guys keep going.
I knew that.
He's the quiet.
He's
the
silent.
quiet, silent assassin.
Yeah.
You guys will find out. We'll unlock a little bit more of Mark's character throughout the episodes. But now that we found our name, we were like, okay, third wheel doesn't quite, encapsulate like the energy that we want this thing to. We don't want it to just be like pigeonholed into talking about the third wheel, but we will.
But we
talk
do.
About,
We will.
You know what I mean?
Include it, but it's not going to be the main
so
focal point.
conversations is just conversations, right? Amongst Asians. So yes, we happen to be Korean American in this room, but we are going to bring in outside of the Korean. Hey, because Asians, bro, we span. We're all over the place. I sent you guys a video today that was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Shout out to Asians with Attitudes.
Yeah.
You guys be posting some good content. But so with that said, we just wanted this space, this pod to be a place where we can have some real talk.
It's a safe space.
And like talk in a real way where not like, it's going to be funny and it's going to be fun and tongue in cheek, but we also want to talk about some real stuff too. So we'll be all over the place. But today, it's the first episode. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we'll feather it.
And, let's talk about the Asian experience. So before we started rolling, we were, as I was eating my chimichanga outside, shout out Costco chimichangas. They're delicious. Feel free to sponsor us. And we're like, what are we going to talk about? We're like, well, let's just talk about like what makes sense, the Asian American experience that we've grown up in. And so we were all born in the 80s, kind of shaped during the 90s, which was kind of like the real. I might get a lot of pushback from this, but whatever, dude. Like, this is what I grew up in. Asian gangs,
Asian dancers.
Asian dancers.
Yeah.
there were the nerds. There were like the jocks in some sense. Can you be a tennis jock?
Yeah, you can do. I knew
you might be the number one seat.
Man.
You might be the number one seat singles player at your high school, bro. That's a jock.
They pull.
That's a jock.
You get a jacket, so you know.
You get a jacket, and you know there's a lot of different categories. There were like the party heads, the druggy guys and girls, and so like.
The ravers.
Well, okay, let's start. I'll start because I feel like I'm already talking.
What were you?
I felt like, okay, so in the 90s, let's take it back to the beginning of the 90s. Let's go like 1990. I'm still in middle school. I had an identity crisis. So I grew up in Northridge, California. There was good diversity in Northridge, you know. There was a lot of Asians, there was a lot of white people, there was a lot of Latino people, and there was a lot of black people. So the representation was pretty, like, it was there. But, like, I would say if there was a predominant, I guess I'll call it a vibe in terms of, like, what people thought that, at least for me, like, the cool people were cool with the white people.
Okay.
Maybe because I also love skateboarding.
Yeah, okay.
And so the skaters were the white kids. Well, for the most part.
They were the cool kids, though? Were they the cool kids?
See, that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if at that time whether they were considered cool, because skateboarding at the time was still considered kind of
rebellious and like.
Yeah, it was kind of punk. It was still kind of underground. So not a lot of people knew about it. We would get a lot of we would show up in like parking lots of like, stores and show up in
loiter.
Yeah, we're loiterers. We would skate inside schools and stuff like that. And we would get security guards kicking us out. So I felt.
Which was the 80s and 90s, the golden age of skateboarding. Tony Hawk.
It was.
All those, the.
Well, yeah, the 80s more. 80s more, like the Dogtown, all that stuff was more Venice like Beach, the late 70s to the 80s and all that. But, when skateboarding became...
I forgot you were a skateboarding nerd.
I'm a skateboarding nerd. When it was commercialized, it was in the 90s. So I just gravitated toward anybody who cared about skateboarding. And at that time, it was mainly the white kids. And that was what I wanted to be. And I was like, I want to be a professional skateboarder. I actually, you know what? You laugh about it. We all laugh about it. Right? But... There was a big portion of my childhood where I was ashamed of my Asianness, because
everybody identifies with that.
like that, right?
So I don't know that. Let's talk about it. So like the reason why I was ashamed of my Asianness was because I wanted to blend in. All the kids that I was hanging out with were white. I wanted to not be different from them. I want to be like, yo, I'm just one of y'all. And so like I remember when I would want to sleep over, they're having a sleepover, like, oh, we're all gonna just crash in my place tonight. I would have to call home and ask my mom, like, Oma, I'm trying to sleep over Steven's place tonight.
They got the stovetop stuffing.
Literally, white folks introduced me to stovetop stuffing, and that junk
Dave
changed
Chappelle hit
my
it
life.
on the nose.
Stovetop stuffing was the jizzam. So anyway, I whenever I had to call home to my mom, like, oh, I want to stay over my friend's place tonight. Can I sleep over? I'm saying this in English to this, but my mom told me, you don't talk to me in English. You talk to me in Korean. So then I'm like picking up the phone and whispering, Oma.
Oh man.
나 친구네 집에서 잘 수 있어? Like, but I would whisper that because I didn't want my friends to hear that, because I thought that they're gonna make fun of me. Like, oh, what is that language?
Ching chong chang.
Yeah, are you ching chong changing on the phone? And I'm sure they weren't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were. I don't know.
No, they're
but
racist.
In my head, they're racist for sure. In my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to get made fun of for speaking a different language other than English. So I was trying to hide my Asianness and more specifically my Koreanness. But my mom gave me... They
didn't think you were Filipino?
No. At that time, they're probably like, what's Filipino?
Oh, yeah. That's
they probably didn't even know what a Filipino was at that time, which is also super ignorant. But I just remember being so ashamed of speaking Korean in front of my white friends because I thought I was going to get made fun of. So I was that sort of like whitewashed. I wanted to be white because the thing that I was into was considered to be like a white thing, skateboarding. And then I started listening to like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and freaking Metallica, Green Day.
That was the best music during that time.
That music is sick, don't get me wrong.
Still listen to it to this day.
But I'm telling you right now, I listened to that stuff because my white friends listened to that stuff. I didn't really... Bro, I was a hip-hop kid, dude. I freaking loved rap. So anytime I was like, yeah, I like Green Day and all these other like bands, I'm like, I'm only listening to because my friends are listening to this. But like when you're that young, you don't know what you actually like or like what you like just because like you're trying to be accepted. So, you know, I mean,
yeah, that's interesting.
Anyway, so you know, I kind of evolved from that to like I have a whole history which we don't need to get to in this episode where I went from I want to be a white skater kid to I want to be a cool Asian gangster.
We all did.
This is like now we're talking about 8th grade for me. Let's talk about the year. This is probably year 1991.
8th grade?
1991,
no,
92.
It was
91, 92.
8th
like
grade
91,
for you would have been 8th grade? You're saying 8th grade. Going on to 9th.
Yeah.
It would have been...
No, maybe...
What are you talking about?
92, 93.
No. It would have been 95.
My dad got shot in 94, and I was a freshman.
But you graduated in 99.
Yeah.
So 94, 95 is when you come in. I came in at 94, high school. I'm 2000.
So I was a freshman in 1994. Yeah. I graduated in 1999. My math is not good, which also breaks the Asian stereotype of that Asians are good at math.
You're busy skating with white boys.
Yeah, I was busy skating with white boys.
They don't like math.
We don't math it up, man. We just skate or die, dude. That's all we do.
I didn't skate. That's why my math is.
That's the only reason why they accepted you is because they were like, you didn't.
Oh, this kid's stupid. He's one of ours.
He's one of us.
Okay, so I was that kid that was trying to escape my Asianness. And
you're talking about the gangster time.
But then but that's the thing. I had a very like night and day transformation. I was trying to not be Asian, and then I was trying to be like hella Asian. Cause I also had this thing where I can't prove it, but I was convinced that my white skater friends robbed my house.
Ooh,
and when I felt I think that they friends. Robbed my house, that flipped the script in my mind where I was like, F white people, I'm all Asian, all in, Asian pride all day. Not only Asian pride all day, I was like, white people are the enemy. That's how I felt. Because that was my experience. Like, at that age, when you're like 14, 15, 16, like,
you don't know.
You're impressionable as hell, dude.
Yeah,
you just, whatever you experience is bothering your reality. Like, that's what's real to you. Like, okay, I experienced this. This is what the world is then. So let's go. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no consequences.
At least you don't think there are.
Well, later on there are, That's interesting because...
All right. I want to shift. It's not about me. It's not about me. So let's tap into everybody's, like, kind of earlier years. We're talking about our early sort of, 90s experience, right? Yeah, from... the area that you grew up in, what you were kind of surrounded by, and then what you first identified with and why.
Okay. I'll go.
Go for it.
It's funny that I hung out with a lot of white people too, but I really wanted to be Hispanic. I wanted to be Mexican.
Where did you grow
up?
Why?
I grew up, so a little history. I was born in Texas. I lived there for about 10 years or 8 to 10 years. Moved over here in Cali, and then went to a couple schools here and there in OC, Cerritos, where there's a lot of Asians. But then when we moved to LA, West LA, Santa Monica, that's when I was like, oh, shoot, okay. I was with white people in Texas, but I was so young, I don't even remember. So being with that in that scenario, being in a white school, the white kids were all kind of just a little lame. Like, no offense, right? So I hung out with the Mexican guys, the Mexican kids. Because the women, the girls, they all looked like they were like in 8th grade, when we were in 6th grade. So they all they looked banging, as a 6th grader and 8th grader at the time,
I get it.
Yeah, and then they were just more fun, I think, like, coming from a family that just, my parents were hella strict, but they worked so much that I had like 4 hours of time to play after school. And they were the ones they were down because they were always taking bus and like parents didn't pick them up or whatever. So we would like fuck around in like 7-Eleven, steal shit. And I actually got into skating too, but I was more into tagging.
I got into tagging too.
Yeah,
that came hand in hand for me. So my skating crew was like a tagging crew.
Yeah. I think some of my tagging homies were skaters too. I did pick it up, but I couldn't do a kickflip, so I said, fuck it.
Yeah, you ain't legit if you can't do a kickflip.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I could do it. No, yeah, I couldn't do a kickflip. It was an ollie I could do. A standing still ollie.
Okay. Yeah, that's step one.
Let me rephrase. It's a new kind of, it's a 1-inch ollie. No other skater can ever do it. 1 inch, perfect. Boom.
That's not an ollie, but I'll give it to you, bro.
It was the motion of an ollie, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that kind of looked like an ollie."
It's like, oh, I'm acting like I can fly a plane. Can you actually fly a plane?
All right. If you want to say that, I was on the floor.
Okay,
there was
I'll give
wheels,
it to you, man. I'll give it to you. You know what?
And it lifted up just an inch. That's an ollie, right? Getting both wheels or 4 wheels off, and right?
Sure. I'll give it to you. I'll give that to you.
All right. Anyways, so yeah, I just I hung out with the Mexican dudes, and then funny thing is when
timeline wise, are you still in Texas?
I'm in Cali.
Okay,
I'm
what part of Cali?
6 to 8. Oh, West LA.
West LA. Okay, give me a city.
West LA, Westwood.
Westwood. Okay.
Always up to no good.
Well, you went to uni high.
I went to uni high, but this was Emerson.
Emerson.
So when I went to uni, it changed.
This is middle school.
Middle school.
Okay.
So I used to actually get shitted on by all the Koreans, because they were like, "Why are you messing with the Mexicans?" or "Why are you always hanging out with the black dudes?" or like.
So at this time there was already a division of like, yo, we're the Asians, you should be hanging out with us. Those are the
there was a division, and I
Latinos,
think it was the Koreans. It was like one specific dude that was KP all the way, because his brother was a gangster.
His name, bro?
His name is Charlie Chun.
Oh,
okay. And you know what's funny is
shout out, beep.
I know he don't have any social media, so it's fine, and it don't matter. This is not talking shit about him. His brother, I had shit with this kid in 7th grade. His brother was 10th or 11th grade, came to my junior high school to try to jump me.
By himself?
But Charlie, do you remember the big Charlie?
That was an SI squad?
SI squad.
This fool tried to jump you, and then he decided to just join a dance crew
So
with
what's funny is that he hated me all throughout junior high school, because I think all the Koreans hated me because I got to play on the one basketball court that all the best players played on. I was the only Asian, or the other two Asians, Filipino dude. So all the Koreans would always watch.
So you were the Korean baller.
I was a Korean baller during that time.
What was your N1 name?
I don't think that
kimchi.
We had
I already knew it, dog. Freaking
soy
kimchi,
sauce,
dude.
Baby, soy sauce.
Nah, soy sauce. That's Chinese, dog. You're freaking gochujang.
You know what? I had moments of brilliance, which led me to stay on to play, but I wasn't one of the best ones. They were like black dudes, and these kids were like 6 foot at like 8th grade, so. I hope they're all doing something these days. I mean, that would be a waste of height.
You don't keep it in touch.
Nah, I don't keep in touch with them.
All right, we digress. All right, so you're balling it up.
And
Charlie's not about that.
Hating on me. And it wasn't until 9th grade where he was like, "Hey, like, you're Korean. You should hang out with the Koreans." And I was like, I think it was funny because I didn't want to, but because I wanted to not have shit for 4 years with this one dude, I freaking said okay. But then I went in and I took over, dude. I went and I was like, we were squad, and we ran that school. So it was interesting. Like once I started getting really into Korean culture and like being with my own kind, I realized where the power, that there's like so much power in that. And I don't mean that in a racist way. I mean it just we just all understand each other.
I think what you're talking about is community, right?
Yeah, community.
I think what we all sort of instinctually, without knowing, in a very like proactive, like, oh, I need to find my tribe and my community. I don't think anybody really knows it, but we all instinctually are trying to find where we fit in.
It does happen later on, though, and I think with Koreans it happens.
Well, when you become aware of it, when you become aware of it, like you. So as we get older, I mean, now we're bunch of freaking old dudes here. We get like, okay, I need to find like-minded individuals, people who think the way that I think, and like that not only just that, but like who can motivate me and push me to where I want to get. That's stuff that we've learned over the years, but at those formative years, We didn't know any of that. We just was like,
we're struggling because our parents.
It's fun hanging out with this clique, not fun hanging out with this clique, and then we like look at this clique as like, whoa, I don't know anything about that, and so there's like a lot of foreignness to it.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of like learning. I think I fit in here, and I don't necessarily fit in there. And it's interesting. I think you and I, what I'm learning right now is that both of us have a similar pathway in that we were trying to fit in with a community that, and that sucks because it's like we're determining it by race. Like, oh, here's this Korean guy trying to hang out with the white kids and skateboard. Here's this Korean kid hanging out with the Mexicans trying to like holler at the hot Mexican chicks. You know what I'm saying? And like, but then, you know, we also found our Asian tribe. They're like, what are you doing over there? Like, you should be over here with us.
Yeah.
And that's also a weird thing because
we're indoctrined. Like, we're indoctrined by our parents. I feel like Asians are very specific. We're one of the only minorities that kind of like their parents tell us to stay within our like lines. Everyone else wants like, I feel like there's other races
but
that
you know
like,
what
you're
my parents
here in America,
also said?
like,
They did say that, but they're like, but the white kids, make sure you're good with the white kids. They did. Like, I mean, they may not have like, you know, overtly like spelled it out like that, but they definitely gave me the impression that the white kids are the ones that we're trying to get in good with.
Yeah.
And you know, now
and that's kind of crazy because that's what we've been doing our whole lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As minorities, we are trying to fit in this white world.
And like, that's where I'm like, this whole like white adjacent thing. I never even understood what that was, like trying to be white adjacent. And if there's any white audience members that are listening, bro,
First off,
don't get twisted. We
listening.
love you guys.
I'm saying I love white people. My girlfriend's white, by the way. We'll talk about that later.
My carpet's white, man. I love white.
But the thing is, in terms of like understanding identity, as immigrant, first generation Asian Americans, we grew up listening to our parents' views of what they thought was, here's how to succeed in this land.
Yeah, they were
this
enemies
is not
in this
our
world
land
when they first came.
So our parents who immigrated here, they were like, this is not our land. This is the white people's land. Mm-hmm. So if you want to make it out here, get cool with the white folks. You know what I mean? So it even got to the point where it's like, yo, straight up, my parents were like, you're not marrying anybody but a Korean unless they're white.
Wow.
My parents, like, my mom straight up said that to me.
Oh, wow. That's
She's like, Korean, white people are okay.
For me, it's Korean and then any other Asian and then white and...
No. My mom was like, Korean and white, and that's the wrap. That's it. That's all your options. You got A and
Mama,
B.
did you?
You got A and B. And the thing that was, like, crazy to me was, like, I didn't understand that. I'm like, where's this coming from? You know, and then... my sister married a white guy, you know, my older sister. So she was the first one to get married, and, you know, him being white, my mom was like, cool, yeah, all good. No questions asked. There's no argument there.
Did it change for you though? Like,
it
because there was one.
Because I'm the black sheep of the family, bro.
So now it's like Korean now, like, because we already have one in the family that went white. Now it's Korean only, or did the requirements stay the same, like white?
No, dude. So here's what I thought. I'm thinking over here, like, okay, my sister took the bold move.
Oh,
step outside of the Korean boundary.
Trailblazer. She's a trailblazer.
She's over here like, yeah, trailblazing. So, all right, cool. So maybe, and you know, I'm not gonna say any names, but I'm just gonna talk about an experience. I did date a girl in college. She was half Korean, half black.
Oh, you mean? No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't know who this one is.
You don't know.
You held that from me?
I've told you this story, but you probably don't remember the names. Anyway, she was half Korean, half black. That's 50-50, right? So in my head, that's good odds. 50% of this girl is Korean.
Wait, and what year was this?
This is like 2001.
Irvine years?
Like
no, so this is early. Okay.
2001.
Oh, so this is right before we started really
like
seeing
2001 going on to 2002. So anyway, I'm thinking, okay, this girl's half Korean, and this person also speaks Korean. I'm like, man, that's a little bit more than 50%. You kind of got like a 51% in there. Like you actually even kind of speak Korean.
You're Korean with a 10.
So I tell my mom, Oma, you know, I'm seeing this. Okay, granted, this girl was also 3 years older than me, which also played into the fact.
She got a booty, or a Korean booty, or a black booty. Sorry.
My mom was not cool. I thought she was gonna be more upset with the fact that why are you dating a girl who's older than you? Like, cause I thought, you know, whatever. But then she was like, what's her other half? I was like, well, she's half black. My mom was ready to freaking
She should have won the Super Bowl.
Me, bro. She was ready to disown me. But I just remember I was trying the most, and I was so taken back because I was like, but she's also half Korean and she speaks Korean and she identifies being more Korean than black. Not about it. And I was like, tell me why. And you know, disclaimer to the listeners out there, and I think we have enough listeners that I would think that if you're tuning into this podcast with me, Ryan, and Mark, most of y'all parents are like immigrants here that like you probably share a very commonality to our story. Our parents are freaking racist, man. Like they came here thinking that like we need to make it here, and the way to make it is get cool with the white folks, and then everything outside of that is like, yeah, we're gonna. You know, we don't need to get into politics, but it can get into like, you know, all of that stuff too. But point being, my mom, she was. I don't like.
I can't agree. I don't want to say that our like Korean older Asian generation is racist, because that's unfair. Like if you grew up here through generations, and then you have a bias towards a certain people. Yes, I feel like they are racist. Koreans, I feel like the racism didn't necessarily come from hate. It came from defense, because they had to.
Yeah, no, they were
right?
like protecting
themselves, yeah. and Asian being like, okay, within Korea, like the mentality is you put your head down, you work hard for country and for the community or whatever.
Because a lot of Asian immigrants think of America as like we made it, we got here.
Yeah.
So let's keep it cool. Let's keep it cool and like keep it chill and make it work. And how do we make it work? Let's like not stir the pot out here.
Yeah.
Which is a product of racism, though. You know what I'm saying? Because let's face it.
So for me, I've gotten in a fight with kids, and I fought with Korean kids at like church. Or maybe it's because it's church, but I fought with Korean kids that within a church community that they get really into it. Like, oh no, you shouldn't fight. Like you should like really try, you know, there's like, you know, be understanding. But like when I told my parents like, oh, I fought like some, you know, this black kid, like my dad's first question was, did you win?
Did you win?
And
I got that too.
My mom said the same thing to me.
Like, okay, you know, like that's fine. Cause he was like, I think in his mind, he's like, I don't want you we're Asian. We're already to be weak. Yeah. So it was beyond the point of like, oh, Christianity, or you got to be a good person.
You know what's crazy? My mom, dude, when I got caught, and I'm using my air quotes.
Using the air quotes.
I got caught fighting because in my head I'm like, I was so afraid because I used to fight a lot in middle school. I used to fight like just because I had a lot of.
You're a spunky man.
I'm a spunky guy.
Yeah.
But like I had a chip on my shoulder, right? I was like that. Like I'm not gonna let you bully me. So if you're gonna bully me, then let's freaking throw down and let's see what happens. So I remember in 7th grade, my mom dropped me off, and my mom would drop me off at school every morning. And then I got dropped off. I walked up onto there's this little like I don't even know what you call it. It's like a freaking little garden area thing that's like elevated. You walk up this thing, and my friends would always just be there every morning, just to like see who gets dropped off. It was like kind of the thing where they would like make fun of the people who looked nerdy coming out of their cars, and then would say what's up to their friends that they thought were cool or whatever, right? So I got dropped off.
The entrance to the school, you know?
The entrance to the school. And like kids would just hang
out.
Foyer?
Is that what it's called? Foyer?
Yeah, I went to Holmes Middle School. If anybody went to Holmes, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like you get dropped off in the front of the school, and there's this little elevated area where there's these bushes, and then kids would just stand there and watch kids get dropped off. And that was a big moment for me. So for me, I wanted to make sure like I came out of my car looking cool, feeling cool, whatever. And I remember one morning I got dropped off, and there was this kid who like made fun of my car. I forgot what he made fun of. He made fun of something that it like pissed me off. But I knew that my friends were watching. They watched my drop off experience. So in my head, I'm like, oh, you're trying to embarrass me right now. So I went up to that kid and I just socked him in the face. And then all my friends were like, yeah. And then I remember feeling cool. And then I remember my mom seeing out of my peripheral, my mom's car pulling slowly out of it, watching the whole thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dead when I get home.
What'd she say?
So let me paint you the picture.
Okay.
I'm thinking, my mom just saw me sock a kid in the face. I'm in trouble. Because
context.
That's
is it
not
a white
what you
kid?
do. I don't even remember. He wasn't white. I think he might have been Latino.
Okay.
But I just remember thinking like, oh shoot, my mom just saw me. She dropped me out from school. I just punched the kid in the face. I'm in trouble when I get home. Like, you don't do that, right?
I feel like
so I get home. That day I'm scared out of my mind. I'm like, I'm gonna get a whooping. My mom was like, so what happened this morning? And I was like, what are you talking about? Nothing happened. She's like, you punched the kid after I dropped you off. What happened? I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but he like made fun of me and like I just didn't know what to do. And like I just reacted. I mean, I don't even really know if those were my actual words, but I know that's what I felt because I was panicking. Because in the moment, I know I felt embarrassed because I got out of my car. My friends, my quote unquote cool friends are watching me get out of my car. This kid makes fun of me. My reaction is to punch him. My cool kid friends celebrate me, so I feel like I saved face. I did something cool. But from what my mom looks like is like I just socked an innocent kid in the face for no reason as soon as I got out of the car. And then I was so afraid that I was going to get like the biggest beatdown. I was like, he like made fun of me. I didn't know what to do. So I punched him. She's like, good. Don't let anybody make you feel weak. Don't let anybody make you feel weak. And the thing that I was like, what the frick? I thought I was going to get punished. But then to be honest, I haven't really talked about this story in years. So I don't even know what the psychology of my mom was at the time. But I'm sure there was some level of like, I'm proud that my son knows how to defend himself.
Stand up for himself, yeah.
And not feel weak in the land that is not his.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm using my freaking air quotes like crazy. Like the quote unquote land that is quote unquote not his. Like, whose land is this?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, is it white people's land? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's where all my like, my anxieties and insecurities and my freaking anger, and it got worse from there. I'm not saying that was the end of it. It actually elevated from there. Like that was actually where it heightened. Or I felt more empowered. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stand up for myself. Yeah, I'm gonna freaking like anytime like anybody.
Did it end in college? Cause I never got that vibe of you.
Oh yeah, dude.
You've always been a snappy guy.
It ended in high school. Like my like sort of like anger guy was in high school mainly.
Glad, dude.
I don't know
if we've been friends. If you had that aggressive nature, like if I met you.
No, you know what it is though, is because dance actually made me feel accepted. And it had nothing to do with Asian, white, black, Latino, and it was just like, if you're a dancer and you're dope, this is your space. We all rock with each other. So I can attribute a lot of like my anger issues and identity issues to just chilled out once I was like, I think I could just chill out at being a dancer, because like everybody who associates with dance and who's dope, everyone's all positive, everyone's all encouraging and freaking lifting each other up. I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that.
And you made a career of it. That's great. Hey.
I did.
Hey, that's the lesson. Take everything. Take all your experiences, because you don't know where you're going to get fucking gold from it,
Okay, so like with that said, I'm gonna take some time. Let's take a little moment to cheers to that. Cheers to that moment, because that's real. Cheers, sir. So I think that's interesting though, because I know your dance experience was slightly different than mine.
Yeah, it was. It was.
And I know you found like your tribe. You know, you found like the homies. Oh yeah, you need to hang out with the Koreans or whatever.
Let me tell you, man. My crew was. We were pseudo dancers. I was. I think me and maybe Albert, because Albert was dedicated. We were the only two ones, or Jin, and he did some windmills and stuff like that. But like
I feel if you had windmills in high school, bro, you were kind of
I mean, no, that was the one trick. Like he literally just only knew how to do that, and he did it so well that he was propelled as a great dancer, but just the windmills. But
that's what you needed, bro.
Yeah, that's what
if you had one like continuous move, whether it's flares, swipes, or windmills.
If I could count how much high school pussy I got from my windmills, I could probably count on one hand. But it was for high school. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot, matters, bro. Yeah. We can edit that out.
It's staying in there.
Bleep it. You can bleep it.
Nope. We're gonna clip that one. We're gonna make that the first promo clip of this episode.
No, but yeah, like I think for me too. Like I got into dance because all my friends were tagging and they were good, man. They would do the fucking the nozzles and switch it up, and they knew how to. And I was using streaks, riding goofy, like really badly. Actually, there's some West LA buildings that still have my tag on it.
Let's go find those old
tags.
Dude,
let's do it, because I've seen it. Yeah, I went by one time on one spot, and it's still there. And because I used like an oil streak. Taggers, you know what I'm talking about. So like, that was, dance was like, I was a wallflower in my 8th grade graduation. I felt like shit, and I was like, all right, I got to do something. So that summer I started practicing. I watched Rura, 3-4, that breakdancing bit.
Bro, Lula was my first K-pop concert that I ever went to.
Oh, you went to
at Hollywood Park.
Wait.
I was in 8th grade.
Yes, I didn't go to that because I couldn't go, but I remember that. I remember when it came.
So that was my first concert that I ever went to. That was the first thing that made me feel like I wanted to understand what this K-pop world was.
Do you remember the music video when they go and then there's like back dancers that would do windmills and stuff?
Yes, bro.
That's where I learned how to do a windmill. Watching Rura videos. That's where I learned. And so that was like, that, and then high school I started breakdancing in this, and I didn't feel like as much as outcast, because I felt like once I got into this Korean, because this guy, my buddy, his brother was such a gangster that he had status at our school. Like people, the Hyungs respected him because of his older brother. So me being like a homie of his, the Hyungs automatically started respecting. But what was cool is that they really liked me. Like they'd be like, hey, like his older brother, like, go to class. Hey Ryan, come here. We're going over here to Tanggojang. And they would force me to ditch with them, but make my friends go to class. And I was like, oh, this is dope. But then after I was like, wait a minute, maybe they don't think that I have what it takes.
They don't think
they're like, this guy's
smart. He can't go to class.
Yeah, this guy don't waste it, bro. You know what? You're a fucking naladi like us, dude. You're a fucking, and they told me, but you know what was funny is that cemented my high school career, because when all the other people saw me, they were like, oh, so up until my senior year, kids were like, aren't you a senior? Weren't you a senior last year? Because I would always hang out with Hyungs. And that was like, with that, they loved my dancing stuff. They were like, yeah, dance. They would always like tell me to do stuff. And I think that like really empowered me. And I just ran with it. And then,
so I think we're like transitioning into the other Asian category. So there was like, the Asian that was innovative in like the creative space, which I guess that we can kind of find ourselves in that category, right? We like decided to be like, yo, we want to dance. But then there was also like the gang, like the gangpe, like gangster.
I couldn't do it though.
Asians that, I'll be honest, I was also.
What's the most gangster thing you did when you were in that phase? Like that you feel guilty about? Would you statute of limitations is 5 years,
I
so
jumped
you're good.
somebody. No, you know what? No, I never jumped somebody, but what we did, because I remember I got into a fight where there was like a few people involved, but that wasn't a jump. What I felt like sucked what I did, I was a part, and this is probably gonna be like, a lot of people who are listening probably like, wow.
5 year statute limitation.
Some people are like, I remember my first beer. I'm like, bro, this is what I just felt bad because I didn't do stuff like this. We targeted this guy. I'm not gonna name names.
Targeted, jeez.
We targeted this guy because one of our friends didn't like this guy because like he was whatever mean to her in some type of way.
Oh, the girl.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we were like, okay,
you gotta say
we got your back. We got your back. So she didn't ask us to do anything, but we were like, oh, we're gonna like, we thought we were just gonna go egg his house. You know, when people throw like eggs at houses and teepee and all that. So we used to do that. We like found out where this guy lived, and then we like egged his house. But then it got a little far. We were throwing like glass.
We need some dramatic music.
So we're like breaking windows and stuff at his house, but we didn't know. We were just like throwing stuff.
You were breaking his house windows? His parents must have been pissed.
Oh, it was his parents. I mean, it was his parents' house.
And now we think about that because we're adults.
And so
expensive windows are.
And so we like did our thing, and we felt like, and mind you, we were actually thinking that the night was gonna go different because we thought we were gonna meet him in another situation that night. If he did show up, we were gonna jump him. So I remember that's what it was. If he showed up, we were gonna jump him, but he didn't show up. And then we found out where he lives, so we decided we're gonna egg his house, and then we're gonna freaking throw whatever.
And these are the mean streets of Northridge?
Nah, bro, this is La Cañada.
Oh, La Cañada.
The mean streets of La Cañada.
L.A. Canada.
La Cañada, Flint Ridge.
And
we're not naming names, but if anybody who knows me is listening, you guys already know.
And you can't come after him because I was way long ago. 5 years limited.
But, and I remember, and I'm not trying to make myself to be the angel here. Once I found out what was the plan, was like, okay, if he shows up, we're jumping him. If he doesn't, we're gonna freaking egg his house. I was like, yo, let's not do this. Like, we don't even know this guy. Let's not do this.
Wait, why were you gonna jump him again? Because you didn't like him. The one kid didn't like him.
Our homegirl had a thing with him, and then like he treated her whatever. Like in a way where she's like, I don't like him.
Guys could have catch a case for a girl.
Bro, dog, we were like freaking 16, 17 years old.
That's when the worst time because you're just not thinking. You're not thinking of consequences.
We're not thinking. This is literally the stupidest thing ever. I would never even entertain
like,
this.
What were you thinking? We weren't.
And so we did the thing. We egged his house, and we broke, and like we got like, we threw jars of glass, and we heard glass breaking.
Damn.
And of course, you know, in our stupidity, we were not thinking, let's get as far and as fast away from this area as possible. No, we weren't thinking that. We're like, oh, we got to get gas. We got to get gas.
They found you?
So we like, after we did that, like a block away, we're at the gas station. And then we see the car that we freaking completely demolished pull up and drive around and then sees us and makes a U-turn and we're like, oh, shoot, this fool got in his car and saw us at the gas station.
He
was looking for us.
Looking for you guys.
So we were like, oh, shoot.
He wasn't going to do
get
shit,
the hell
though.
out
He's
of
not going to beat 5 kids and then catch a case.
But it was on some like, dude,
jail.
we're about to die tonight. And of course, I mean, thank God nothing happened from that. But that's what made me feel like I'm not down with this whole freaking gang scene, dude. I'm not about that life. Like,
that's not even gang. You guys are riffraffs.
Yes.
You got
I'm sure like if like actual like
real gangsters.
Like real gangsters. Like I remember my first beer, bro. Like come on, bro. But in my mind at that time, I'm like, yo, I'm down to be Asian and freaking rep and like protect my homies and all that. I look back at that now as like stupid as hell.
Yo, why do we do that as kids?
I don't know.
Because I have a story.
It's
like
identity,
that too.
bro. Like you feel like
that.
you need to belong, and you only feel like you actually legitimately belong if you're down.
So you know what's funny is that even when I did it, it wasn't even belong. We were just bored. Beep, right? We can bluff out. Like, hey, let's take your dad's Cadillac and go around and jack people. So we went around my in West LA in my Cadillac that would literally like go like this when we're driving. So it looked hood. Like we're like this, like 3 kids like in a car that looks like, you know, it's a boat rolling, you know, a Cadillac. Like a G Cadillac. It was a white Cadillac, it was my dad's, and he just kept it in the driveway. But we went around and he was like, yo, we gotta beat someone up with this. He went, oh, I got it. We went to his house. He got the Dodger bat, those mini ones.
Yeah.
The ones that they give.
Yeah, those are lethal,
yo,
bro.
those are bad. Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I think we like hit a kid like in his leg or something, and we were like laughing, and we drove away. But
why?
It wasn't.
Why did you hit a kid and laugh
I don't
and drive
even
away?
remember why.
See, so
we were
when
just trying to.
when you ask me why did I throw eggs at this guy's car and his house, you don't know.
Yeah.
Other than you think that's cool.
Yeah, maybe.
You think by doing stupid stuff that is hurtful. Because so this is what I want to unpack. Now we're gonna get freaking therapy up in here.
Yeah, are we?
We're gonna unpack all this right now.'re gonna psychologize ourselves. When we're at a certain age, and I'm just gonna fully admit, when I was like, 8th grade, like I'll say from like 6th grade to like 10th grade. 6th grade to 10th grade. How old am I? I'm looking at like 10, 11 to like 13, 14.
Okay.
Right? My biggest concern in life is I need to be cool. I need to feel like I'm respected. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily feared. Because at the time, we don't associate respect with fear. But we learned that, the people who are feared are respected. So maybe I need to get feared. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the gangsters, the gangpes, and like...
Yeah, they thrive on it.
All the freaking, like, rebels... Like, why? But it's like, why are the punk kids cool? Because they go against the law. They go against the grain. They're the ones who are like,
I think it's just because the fact that we have to follow the rules, and when they don't, we're like, ooh.
So I think we were, and I'm not even just gonna make this exclusive to Asians. I think we're speaking into like even, like gang culture in general. When you feel like you're outcast and you don't belong anywhere. If a group actually opens the doors and accepts you and like, hey, you're like us, and we're gonna do some stuff to like make some noise, mm-hmm. That's very attractive. Yeah. To a young person, that's very attractive. If you feel like you're outcast and you don't belong anywhere, and then you have like a group open the doors, like, hey, no, not only do you belong somewhere, we're actually cool, and we're gonna make a lot of noise. That's what makes gang culture so attractive.
I think that's why Korean gangs in the 90s were so... I mean, I didn't want to be one because I wasn't down like that, but I knew so many
was not down
that
like
I was adjacent. I was gangster adjacent.
We were like down to fight, but I'm not down to kill nobody.
Well, when I say that gangster adjacent is because I knew some gangsters that were like cool with me, where it's like I knew if I got... And it's still to this day, I know that there's a lot of guys that don't like me. But because there's a lot of guys that
bro, what's up? What are their names?
We'll
get them right now.
Look, that's another.
Get them right now, bro.
Right up.
JK, just kidding.
John,
We've
no.
grown out of that.
But it's. I feel like even till this day, there are dudes that don't like me, but the ones that do, like, are the reason why I'm still not getting jumped.
What's funny that I've also observed is some of like the hardest gangster dudes from our days are the softest, like, sweethearts now.
Then they're all real estate agents.
Yeah, and they're all
real estate
balling and just freaking like, yeah.
No, think about it. Think in your head. Like, think about it. Most gangster hung, right? And then the last time you probably saw him, he's like, "What do you do up to?" All my gangster hungs are all in real estate. Why?
So what are we doing over here?
Because it's territory.
Why are we doing a podcast, bro?
They all
Why
have
are we doing a podcast? Why are we not in real estate,
because we ain't gangsters, motherfucker. That's why.
I'm trying to be rich, dog. What's up?
Hey,
let's get your real estate homies up in here and like put us on game, because I'm trying to like not let this thing be the thing that I lean upon.
So my thing is that it's funny. They find themselves in this situation like, oh, what can I do? What am I good at? Selling and territory. Yeah. Protecting territory and selling. What's the best profession? Real estate agent. All your young, all you guys, youngs that are gangsters that are freaking real estate agents, and they're good.
Well, then.
And they're good. Probably because they timed their
any of y'all who want to be the sponsor of the Conversations Podcast, you'll get a great place where you can put your business on a platform.
Talk to our old gangster young who's #1 real estate agent at his company.
Yeah.
Who is that?
I don't know about #1, but he's doing big things, and he's one of my homies. His name is
Be a guest on the pod.
And,
put us on game.
Yeah, we can get him on. And he's a real estate agent now. And he makes TikToks and he makes Instagram videos. And they're good because he uses his soft voice. I mean, like, he's still a little gangster. Last time I drank with him back 10 years ago, he straight up kicked me in the balls, like, just for no reason. So that's who he is. But, you know,
all right, we need everyone. We all need a person to kick us in the balls when we need at some time. But, like, I love that, man. I love the idea that, you know, people who once lived a life that they thought that, you know, we needed to be about representing and being aggressive in a certain type of way, but you can be aggressive in different ways.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Aggressive in business, aggressive in the market space.
I think that's why they do well, because they don't take no for an answer.
But that's what's fine, man. This is what this show is about. Finding our voice, finding where the Asian American voice, especially the Korean American voice, is at. That's why I wanted to introduce this show.
Oh, it's beautiful. I learned so much about you and you, like that. Yeah. I knew.
Who are you? What's your name?
I don't even know you, bro. You were out there jumping people.
I was jumping people.
I actually like that band better.
I'm gonna jump you after this episode.
Yeah, I'm actually glad to know that if we had to jump someone. Actually, I've always known that. You've always been one.
Ryan.
I always know. You've always
one
been
of the most
one to
down-ass people you
pop
know.
Off.
Dog.
You're the most like peace-loving guy, but I know
stuff
when
goes down,
pops off, I'm like, yo, bro, like
I'm right there now.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
You're like this. Whose car we taking?
Yeah.
So with that said, man, like this is our first 9th episode.
Yeah, I think it was a good flow. It was good.
But so we're gonna have a lot of conversations with people who are moving and shaking in various industries. But, like, more than that, like, we just care about real stories, real conversations. Like, our conversation tonight, man, I freaking enjoyed.
Yeah.
Even though, like, and for the listener, we're just going to be 100%. We've tried this many times, and we haven't found it to be something that we wanted to release. But tonight was the one where we're like, we feel like this is real to us. And what's real is what we feel like is authentic to what we actually care about in these times, that we actually can speak into and deliver inspiration into the audience that we think might be tuning in. And we know that we have movers and shakers in the Asian American, not just Korean American, Asian American space that are freaking killing it in their fields, that will come on here and drop gems and bombs all day. So, if you guys are here, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Tune into the next one. Conversations. Ben and Rye.
Conversations.
Mark Beyond. We out. Peace.
We out.